Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grumpy Snail Podcast with your host, me, the uncancelable Jonathan Snyder, here again, another rambly video for the week. Before we get started, make sure that you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you share it on all your social media platforms, or don't do any of those things, do whatever you want. It is a free country still, sort of, maybe, whatever. We do not accept any money from YouTube. We do not do, none of that monetization nonsense. So, for the sponsor of this video, check that out.
We taught the world to sing in perfect harmony. Just drink Coke, the road to obesity.
We say we're woke, we sell drinks, badass smoke. China is our labor supplier that drives our stock price even higher. What the world knows today, obesity won't go away. Coca-Cola, diabetes is here to stay. That's a real thing. What the world knows today, obesity won't go away. Diabetes is here to stay. That's a real thing. Coca-Cola.
Thank you to all the sponsors that we have here on this channel. We'll go ahead and get started with the first thing that happened recently. Saturday morning, there was an earthquake in Haiti. If you remember, 10 years ago, there was an earthquake. It was a big deal. It caused lots of damage, killed a bunch of people. It cost a bunch of money that U.S. sent there. Of course, there's a bunch of, corruption and stuff in the government, and a lot of that money disappeared. A lot of the people didn't see an ounce of that dollar. So, it's been rough down there. They've just had that assassination of the president recently, so it's been sort of a political turmoil, and they get hit with this earthquake again. It's going to take days to figure out what the total carnage is going to be from that earthquake. It supposedly was higher on the Richter scale than the previous earthquake that happened. I think it was 2010 when that happened. So we're going to see a lot of damage from that. Of course, U.S. is going to support Haiti like we do in most of these small third world type smaller countries. There's going to be money poured from the U.S. into that country, and why not? I mean, we're printing it out. Why not send some of it down there? The only hope is that, again, we don't lose it amongst whatever political corruption there still is down there. So we'll see what happens with that. Earlier this week, we saw the resignation of the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is still not going anywhere. He's still got another week, right? Because it was like Tuesday or something. So he's working out some sort of weird, odd 2 weeks notice, something or other. Like, yeah, you can be this corrupt person that you are and keep doing whatever you do. That's fine. I mean, Governor Cuomo is a member of the elite cathedral. He's up there with Biden and Pelosi and Newsom and all those people. And so, I mean, he literally can do whatever he wants. The only reason he resigned was because the writing was on the wall. He was going to be impeached. They're seeing Cuomo as more of a hurt than a help. So, of course, they're going to go ahead and get rid of him. I mean, they don't care. They didn't care that he killed 15,000 people. They didn't care that he covered it up and lied about it. They didn't care that he pressured people to cover it up for him. They didn't care that he spent all this government money having these aides of his write this book of his that he made all his money off of that didn't sell at all. They didn't care They don't care that there's a sexual harassment. They don't care. I mean, they didn't care about Biden. They didn't care about Tara Reid. They didn't care about any of that stuff. Andrew Cuomo is not going anywhere, okay? And neither is Chris. Well, I don't know, Chris. Yeah, I don't know about Chris. But, I mean, even if Andrew resigns, he's going to be back. He's part of the establishment. He's going to be back. He's going to either be back as governor. He's going to be back in the White House. He's going to be back somewhere. I mean, he was supposed to be the Attorney General. I think they were talking about him dropping out and being the Attorney General of the White House. So I mean, he's not going anywhere. He's best buds with Biden. So it's not. I mean, no matter what they say, he's not, and nobody cares. Nobody cares about it at all. And they dropped the suit. The DOJ dropped the suit about all the nursing home deaths. So it's not just him. It's they had the same issues in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and they don't care. They don't care that all these people died because of the incompetence. I mean, and there's like these reports that I'm reading where there was this bridge that they renamed in his name, and then they like cut all these corners so they wouldn't have to pay for the infrastructure that, I mean, Biden, this is what Biden said about Andrew Cuomo's resignation.
But he's done a hell of a job. And, I mean, both on everything from access to voting to infrastructure, to a whole range of things. That's why it's so sad.
So no, he didn't. He did not do a hell of a job. He did a hell of a job for a criminal, because that's what he is. He's a complete criminal. And it's disgusting that not only is he this way, but nobody cares. Nobody cares that it's like this. I mean, first of all, it didn't even make sense to have all these people that want his job being the ones that are doing this investigation. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. The whole system's corrupt. It's all corrupt. It's gross. It's disgusting. And like I said, Biden's friends with this guy, and so is the rest of the cathedral. So Andrew Cuomo's not going anywhere. He gets to take this little break, and then he'll be back, ruining everything as usual. Be business as usual. It won't matter. It's yet to be seen what's going to happen with Chris. Chris, is involved with this situation as well. And, CNN really screwed the pooch on this one. So they don't. The hope is that, they can just let it all blow over and we'll be worried about something else tomorrow. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And that's pretty much all we have on that situation. There's, they're working, the Congress is working on this infrastructure bill and this, reconciliation bill, looking at $5 trillion worth of money that they're going to print and, flush into the economy. I mean, you think it'd be bad enough that, the inflation is out of control. It is. That we just got the July report. The July report said the year-over-year rate for July was 7.8%, and this has gone up. It's gone up every month this year. From 0.8 in December to 1.6 in January, 3% in February, 4.1 in March, 6.2 in April. 6.6 in May, and 7.3 in June, and here we are, 7.8 in July. So it just keeps getting higher, and they just keep printing more money and flushing it into the economy. It's so bad. Everything's so. This is so. I mean, this is repercussions for COVID last year. That's what this is. This is because the money's got to go in. It's got to go. It takes a bit, but this is from last year. This is from that $8 trillion or whatever that Trump, just flushed down the toilet last year. So all this money that Biden's spending in this it's just gonna make it worse. It's just gonna get worse. And it makes the whole administration look terrible. It does. He's out there begging OPEC to make more, to give us more gas, because he's all against this. It's all against us making gas, but not against other countries making the gas. Like, it's okay if Russia has their pipeline sending us gas. It's okay if their, green energy policies aren't up to ours. It's all right if they're destroying their planet, as long as we don't, right? Like, how much sense does this make? Not you Republican people that watch this. The one maybe Democrat person that happens to get across this video before YouTube takes it down. That's the person I'm asking. Like, what sense does this make? It's like, okay, so we're not gonna do any bad stuff. We just want all the other people to do bad stuff, and then we want them to give us the rewards of their bad stuff. Speaking of bad stuff, Afghanistan's out there just completely imploding because, the Bush administration and the Obama administration and the Trump administration did a terrible job at, at their foreign policy. It's just terrible. So, we wasted all that money, completely, wasted training all these people that aren't doing anything but shooting up opium and then giving all their weapons and stuff to the Taliban that's coming back. So, it was a complete waste. It was all complete waste, and it doesn't matter that we're pulling out. It wouldn't matter if it was today or tomorrow or 10, 15, 20, 100 years from now. The same thing would happen, because that's what's going to happen. The country is not, you can't nation build. The people need to want democracy and freedom. They need to want that. Otherwise, it collapses. Case in point, the U.S. So, it was a complete waste. And the only way to make this worse, because we knew that, the Taliban was going to come back in and take everything over, the only way to make this worse is exactly what the Biden administration is doing, which is leaving all these weapons and tanks and jeeps and missiles and all this other crap behind, and the Taliban just taking all that stuff up. So it's like we are arming terrorist organizations. The U.S. is arming foreign terrorist organizations while inflicting war upon domestic terrorist organizations. So, I really don't see what you Democrats see in this administration. I really don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. We have this situation in the schools. We're starting to get back into the school season. Everybody's fighting over this COVID situation with masks and no masks and mandates and vaccine mandates. I think Ron DeSantis in Florida making all these laws against mask mandates is almost just as bad as Democrats enforcing mask mandates. If there's a school in Florida and the board has been elected by the citizens that send their kids to that school, and they want everybody to wear masks, and that's what they want, there's no reason why they can't do that. You shouldn't be making laws. The issue is the way to fix problems isn't to make a bunch of laws. What happens when you do that is innocent people go to jail, innocent people die. There's no good comes from implementing all these laws. Not to mention the fact that there was all this stuff about saying laws, something about cruise ships not being allowed to have mask mandates. That's ridiculous. Is a cruise ship a private company? They can do whatever they want. The government has no business implementing authoritarianism into its citizens. It has no business doing that. I don't care. I don't care whether it's Biden or it's Ron DeSantis or it's Trump or it's Newsom or it's Andrew. I don't care who it is. It's no business implementing authority over people. The American citizens are free to live. So, I mean, everything that they do it's a mess. The eviction moratorium thing is just, I mean, that whole situation's god awful as well. The Supreme Court saying that the executive branch cannot do a thing, and so the executive branch does it anyway, and now we just have to wait for a lawsuit, which was filed, and it's working its way up through the courts. This is stupid. This is not the way that we learned that this worked in school. Okay, the checks and balances doesn't. The Supreme Court says the executive can't do this, then the executive can't do it. It doesn't. The executive doesn't, and then you have to suffer the consequences of those laws and those orders until somebody sues the government. That's not how that works. That doesn't. What does the poor person do? The poor person can't go against the government, no matter what the law or the order is. It doesn't matter. So like I spoke about it last week, I think it was, the whole eviction moratorium is just a way to transfer wealth from poor people to rich people. That's the only purpose of the eviction moratorium, because that's exactly what's going to happen. The middle class people, these people that own one or two houses that are renting them out to people, those people who can't pay their bills because people aren't paying rent in their houses, are going to have to sell those houses. And who's going to buy those houses? Big banks. And then the big banks own all the crap. That's what's going to happen because they can afford the risk. So that's all it is. And I don't see why that these Democrat, progressive, left people support all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. It's completely against what you think they would be for. What else we got on the list of crap? So, Rand Paul, like myself, received a YouTube strike and had his whole channel shut down. Because who knows why.
It's time for us to resist. They can't arrest all of us. They can't keep all of your kids home from school. They can't keep every government building closed, although I've got a long list of ones they might keep closed or might ought to keep closed. We don't have to accept the mandates, lockdowns, and harmful policies of the petty tyrants and bureaucrats. We can simply say no, not again.
I mean, they say it has something to do with masks or whatever, but I mean, how are you going to know? There's no video. There's nothing out there. There's just people claiming that he said something. How are you going to know? You don't know because there's no evidence, because it's gone. They took it down. You can't prove anything. So what is the censorship going to do? It does nothing. Because you have no proof that I could say that that they just attacked him because he's a Republican, and that's what the whole social media thing is doing. They're just attacking Republicans because they claim that they're all terrorists. Am I wrong? Where's your proof? Where's the video? Where's your evidence? Where's it at? I'm not even arguing on the content of the video. I'm just saying that there is no video. So, I mean, since there's no... see what I'm saying? Which goes, the same in my video. You have no idea what I said. You have no idea what was on my video that got it taken down because it's not there. You can assume that it's not supposed to be there. But what do you know? What do you know about yikes, I slid right off the table. What do you know about YouTube's their content policy, their community guidelines? What do you know about them? Have you read them? I mean, most people don't. You don't read your user agreements and terms of service, do you? No, they're too long, and we got things to do. So, since my video was taken down, and YouTube did not respond to my ultimatum, I I have to retaliate because that's what I said I would do. So here we are. So the first thing we're going to do is going to go over YouTube's their policy, their COVID-19 policy, because that's why the video was taken down. At least that's what I was told. And so I mean, we'll take a look at it. I'm not going to read all of this because, again, it's like 8 pages and I only got so much time. But the whole point is, in their specific COVID-19 misinformation policy, is there's a list of stuff that you can't say, and then they put examples, which I'm not going to go over the examples because, I mean, shit, if I go over the examples, then they'll just take this video down. I mean, like for example, you couldn't say that COVID-19 existed, which that's ridiculous. But who? I mean, QAnon's out there saying stupid shit like that. It's obviously that it exists. That's just dumb. We're not arguing the moon landing here. All right, so to boil it all down, these are all the things. If you post content, you cannot post content to YouTube that includes any of the following. And for starters, they kind of group these together in treatment information. So you can't post anything that includes treatment for COVID. So you can't post content that encourages the use of any home remedies, including like prayer and rituals and like moon space and all that nonsense, which, you know, whatever, it's okay. As far as I'm aware, there aren't really any home remedies specifically to COVID that would do you any good. You can't have any content that claims that there's a guaranteed cure for COVID. I mean, the vaccines weren't a cure for COVID. The best efficacy rating for a vaccine was Pfizer, and I think it was like 95%. So there's a 5% chance that the vaccine wasn't going to prevent COVID. And now it was always like that. I don't understand why people are saying you said the vaccine was going to stop the virus. No, they never said that. People are just dumb. There's one thing about misinformation, and there's another thing about just dumb people saying dumb things. You can't recommend any treatments at all. So you can't recommend ivermectin. You can't recommend hydrochloroquine. You can't recommend remdesivir, I think was one of them. You can't recommend any of that stuff under the YouTube policy. Okay, and so you can't talk about the treatment at all. So that's all that. You can't. Cannot post content that promotes prevention methods that contradict the local health authorities or WHO, which was what my strike said. So I can't make claims that are a guaranteed prevention method for COVID, which, you know, we kind of already went over that. And again, they go over ivermectin and they go over that nonsense again. You can't talk about how masks you can't make claims that wearing a mask is dangerous or cause negative physical health effects. You can't make claims that masks do not play a role in preventing the contraction or transmission of COVID, which is what Rand Paul was hit for. You can't, nothing about claims that COVID vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities. Or WHO. So if your local health authorities contradict WHO or vice versa, then I think you got a problem. And then they go on and talking about you can't make claims that vaccines negatively affect you or anything like that. And like I said, it keeps going on and on and on. It's a bunch of nonsense. Basically, they can pull your video down for anything. It's like a right to work state, right? They have the right to take your content down no matter what is on it, what it says, or how accurate or inaccurate it is. That's their whole policy. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I forgot to mention that this was from May 20th, 2020. So this is like information based on information from a year ago, and we all know that science doesn't change, right? Science is static. So here's my retaliation to them taking my video down and not putting it back up like I demanded that they do. If you want to know what was in that video, click the link down below, because you can still see the video. The video, it's not like the video is hidden. You can still see it. You just can't have it on YouTube. Because, the internet is forever. So now we're not going to talk about COVID vaccines. We're not going to talk about them. What we are going to talk about is Big Pharma. So, I have here a great big list. This is like half the stack. Of headlines. So we'll just start with the first one. Pharma fined $14 billion in 5 years. Okay? So we got another line. From 1991 through 2015, a total of 373 settlements were reached. And this is from citizen.org. A total of 373 settlements were reached between the federal and state governments and pharmaceutical manufacturers for a total of $35.7 billion. Of these, 140 were federal settlements and $31.9 billion. And 233 were state settlements for $3.8 billion. And that, again, is from the Citizen Group. Here's a report from Reuters. Purdue OxyContin settlement would rank amongst the largest in pharma history, right? So the OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma LP has reached a tentative multi-billion-dollar agreement with some plaintiffs aided at settlements. Thousands of lawsuits over alleged role in the U.S. opioid crisis. That's a big situation, especially a big deal right now, considering that the government is locking everybody in their homes and people are going crazy, so they're doing a bunch of drugs. I mean, that couldn't be a benefit for Big Pharma, right? Settlement could be valued up to $12 billion. This article goes on and talks about Merck and Company and all that stuff. So, what's that out there? So, we got another opioid scandal. Haunts drug companies as they respond to pandemic. This is the NPR report from, what's the date? It's from last year. Maybe August? Drug firms race to position themselves as key players in the coronavirus fight. The industry faces a renewed wave of civil lawsuits stemming from a role in the nation's deadly opioid crisis. Thousands of cases that ground to a halt because of the pandemic. Moving forward again as local states reopen. So again, like I said, it was toward the end of last year. Here we got one about the Iraq war veterans that allege pharmaceutical companies' bribery led to U.S. troop deaths. So the Iraq war is involved in this whole scandal. Big Pharma. This is from USA Today. The families of dozens of U.S. troops killed or injured during the Iraq war have filed a federal lawsuit Tuesday. Again, I have to look at the date on this. 2017. Lawsuit in U.S. District Court, Washington, D.C. against some of the biggest names in the industry, including GE Healthcare, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Rock Holdings. Claims that the companies regular paid kickbacks to officials in Iraq's Ministry of Health. Awesome. I mean, that's just Big Pharma generally. How about we look at AstraZeneca? Let's see. Drug giant AstraZeneca to pay $250 million settlement in a fraud case. This is from ABC News. $250 million fraud case. Pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca to pay $250 million in fines and settle charges by the federal government that illegally marketed the antipsychotic drug Seroquel to children and elderly patients for uses not approved by the FDA. Oh, great. That's awesome. What else we got? AstraZeneca takes a $6 million hit after faking conferences to bribe doctors. Nice. So AstraZeneca is bribing doctors. Claims that the British pharma giant faked conferences and offered gifts to local doctors in Russia and China who bought its drugs. Russia and China involved with AstraZeneca. Court. Oh, okay. Is that our... Yeah. So there's some stuff from AstraZeneca. How about we take a look at the Johnson & Johnson. Court documents say that Johnson & Johnson was the, quote, kingpin in opioid epidemic and targeted children and elderly with marketing. Big surprise. Here's another one. J&J to pay 2.2. Is that 2.2 or 22? I can't tell. I think it's 22. $22 billion to end the U.S. drug probes. So now they're bribing the government to end drug probe. These are all from Reuters. Let's see. Here's a quote. The company J&J knew that there was asbestos in products aimed at mothers and babies, knew of the potential harm and misrepresented the safety of the products for decades. That's an article from ABC News. $750 million Johnson & Johnson ordered to pay in the baby powder scandal. Of course, that's a big deal. Let's see. Johnson & Johnson to pay $572 million for fueling Oklahoma opioid crisis. This is drug ruled from The Guardian. Let's see. We've got Ohio lawsuits from Reuters. J&J unit to pay $360 million to the U.S. to resolve a charity kickback probe. But that, let's move on to Pfizer, right? So Pfizer's out there. That's another drug company. We got Pfizer accusing Johnson & Johnson of anti-competitive practices. So we got the drug companies fighting each other. They're all businesses. They're out there to make as much money as possible, no matter what. USA Today article. We got Pfizer to pay $2.3 billion in a criminal plea from Reuters. Of course, here's a quote at Pfizer. I was expected, this is an employee from Pfizer, expected to increase profits at all costs, even when the salesman endangering lives. Article from out of Reuters. Pfizer accuses, let's see. Pfizer settles a foreign bribery case with U.S. government. Another bribery case with the government. Pfizer in a $486 million settlement with Celebrex. Ooh, Celebrex. Pfizer has a policy against ghostwriters when it acquired Park and Neurotrain Blockbuster. It apparently brought... Alright, so there's some sort of ghostwriting scandal going on. That's weird. With drug studies. Interesting. Pfizer to pay $430 million fine over illegal marketing. Pfizer bribe scandal in the Philippines. Nice. So we got GlaxoSmithKline. For those of you that aren't familiar with GlaxoSmithKline, it's the sixth largest pharmaceutical company. In there with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. They're best known for the first malaria vaccine, I think. There's multiple ones, but I think they had the first one. And of course, they've developed other drugs, including amoxicillin, which is an antibiotic. Let's see. GlaxoSmithKline sells healthcare fraud case for $3 billion. Glaxo given serious warning on false vaccine information. Of course, that's not the COVID vaccine. That's from 2004, probably from the malaria vaccine. Glaxo to pay $750 million in an adulterated drug case. Here we go. Evidence grows for narcolepsy linked to GlaxoSmithKline flu shot. So we're talking about what is the year on that? I don't see the year on that. So that was probably one of the H1N1 or no, the swine flu. That was the swine flu vaccine. Let's see. UK study strengths link between GlaxoSmithKline flu shot and narcolepsy. Of course, we talked about that. Chinese police charge British former head of GlaxoSmithKline in China bribery from Reuters. Of course, we got Merck. We got Merck up here with sells Vioxx claims, $4.8 billion. Again, from Reuters. Merck accused of stonewalling in a mumps vaccine antitrust lawsuit. Former Merck scientists sue Merck alleging MMR vaccine efficacy fraud. Merck created a hit list to destroy, neutralize, and discredit dissenting doctors. New Merck allegations of fake journal ghostwritten studies, Vox, pop songs, PRXS harass reporters. Got a Gardasil researcher speaking out. A lot of stuff on Gardasil's safety. HPV vaccine is neither safe nor effective. There's an article from the Baltimore Sun. U.S. court pays $6 million Gardasil victims. From the Washington Times, Merck to pay $688 million to settle enhanced lawsuits. From Reuters. Let's see. We've got an article from the ABC News about how authorities say drug maker paid off doctors, lied to insurance companies to push potential lethal fentanyl-based drug. Of course, fentanyl's a big deal in this opioid situation that we're in right now. Abbott to pay $1.6 billion for words that I can't say. From Reuters, we got another $1.42 billion lawsuit. Cancer drug probe, that next $874 million settlement. Eggs drug maker settles a kickback charge for $704 million. California lawsuits accuses Bristol-Myers Squibb of fraud and kickbacks. Ex-pharmacy CEO pleads guilty to kickbacks to doctors for opioid prescriptions. So the U.S. sues Novartis, alleging kickbacks pharmacies, and the list goes on and on. New York doctor convicted of taking kickbacks from opioid maker. Ex-pharmacy CEO pleads guilty to kickbacks. Lots and lots of kickbacks. Of course, got Zantac and other heartburn drugs linked to cancer. All kinds of big pharma news. So, I mean, there you go. Pharmaceutical companies and the lawsuits. Point is, the little guy can't fight the big guy. With that, that's going to be our podcast. As you can see, I'm all out of drink. Tune in next time. Maybe we'll have an extra video coming up this week. It's been a nice break for me this week, not having to do anything. Tune in next week for the next video. We'll see if we'll see here. All right. Cheers. Godspeed.